Okay, so this is Screencast 3 of unknown amount for the RCS PTM first year's term 3. But may be useful to anybody else following this Vectorworks channel. So this very short screencast, we're going to have a look at the Object Information Palette, or OIP as it's sometimes referred to in online tutorials and text-based things. So the Object Information Palette there. The idea is that if you select an object on the screen, it will tell you information about the object, its class that we'll come on to later, and its layer are the two main things, I would say. Think about the layer as to where it is, and the class as to what it is, or what attributes it may have. Layers can be have a physical Z space, if you like. They can be the layers of a building, like on our stage we have the stage layer, the flies layer, the grid layer, the auditorium layer, the pit layer, and classes could be things like the color of the seats or any other kind of attribute kind of thing. But we'll go over that later on. Plane, don't worry too much at the moment. Layer plane is the virtual ground that this is all sitting on. We're looking down on top. You can see up here, top plan view. So the layer plane is the layer that it's sitting on, whereas the screen is the layer of your screen. These are kind of the same at the moment. If I change the view, the layer plane is still on the ground, or you can see the objects are lying on the ground, but the screen plane remains stuck to the screen that we're looking through, if you like. Again, if that doesn't make sense, don't worry too much about it. It will become obvious later on. Most things should be in the layer plane just now. For the circle here, it's got X and Y, so that's the center of the circle. And the thing I want to get over in this one is these are easily editable. So change X and Y to 0 and 0. You can see the center of the circle is now lined up with the 0, 0 marks on the X and Y rulers at the side of the screen. We have radius and diameter, so I'll tidy this up and make it 1500 diameter, and the sweep is this circle is sweeping round 360. If I wanted to, I could change it into a curve by giving it a 270 degree sweep, and it's now become an arc. The start point, I may want it 45 degrees and do the end 270 there. We've now made ourselves a sort of Pac-Man shape. So you can kind of see that things are editable here. The squares here are, again, this little dot here refers to the top left corner of that square. So if I wanted to place the center of that square on the 0, which lines it up with the center of the Pac-Man now, and Y is 2200 up from the 0, so we're positive Y in this direction, and minus 4000 would place it in a negative Y down here. You can see what's happening there, and likewise positive X is this side of the 0 line, negative X is this side of the 0 line. The other thing is that the information that the Object Info Palette can give you is as well as a ratio, which may or may not be particularly useful. If we had a 5000 by 2000, you can see the ratio is 1 to 2.5, so it might give you some useful information. What can be useful is the perimeter and the area, so 10 square meters there, so you know that a 5000 by 2000 rectangle has an area of 10 square meters. You may know that the size of a piece of steel deck is 2440 by 1220. If you couldn't think how to turn that into a 4x4, you can do maths straight into the box. That was a divide symbol there, so, or plus 200. You can even do -3 inches and it will work out. So you can mix your metric and imperial. The last thing I placed on the screen here was just to let you see that all objects display information into the object information palette, and some of them are quite complex. So this much more complicated object that I brought in, a lighting instrument here, just to let you see, has quite an extensive object info palette. Everything from wattage down to the frame size, the field angles, its weight, etc., etc. And that's not all, it scrolls down further as well. So you can see how complicated some objects are and how simple others are. So keep playing with the circles and the rectangles, and we'll move on to the polyline tool in the next tutorial, where you can see how more complicated shapes interact or display their information in the object info palette. Thank you.